was on Isaiah, is that right?
You were on
63, yeah.
Isaiah 63 and the Revelation 19:15 comparison.
Yeah.
Thank you. So not that one.
Isaiah
That
63.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
one. And I was at Revelation.
There you go.
The 19:15, that's
Okay,
where you
there I am.
started talking.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a village. Yes, okay, so let's start on verse 3 of 63, okay? We talked about the lifeblood, but it says, I stained all my raiment.
Well, he was the only one worthy to open the book because he was the one that shed his
Boy,
blood.
do we need to remember that, right? He was the only one worthy to open the book. Let's go back to part 1, right? Why was he worthy?
He's the sinless.
And he died on the cross shedding his own blood, so he's the one that stained his own raiment. Okay? For the day of vengeance was in my heart, and for my year of redemption has come. I looked, and there was no one to help. And I was astonished, and there was no one to uphold. So my own arm brought salvation to me, and my wrath upheld me. Okay, what does that make you think of at the crucifixion? My own arm
My
brought
God,
salvation to me.
why has you forsaken me?
Yeah, yeah. Why did you turn around? But who raised him from the grave? Right, my own arm, right, brought salvation. So he, yes, it says, God says, I raised him from the dead. But can you separate God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? No, can't.
I put a question mark there as, why would Jesus be surprised? Because that's what he says, and I was astonished.
He was, I think,
But
he
there
was
was
just
no
in
one to
horrible
uphold.
pain.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, why would he be
Be
astonished?
astonished.
I think maybe we should have looked up the Greek word for astonished.
Well,
Yeah.
Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
Is it in
Yeah.
Isaiah?
Yeah, so anyway, I just had a question mark.
Yeah.
That's a
That
good
was a
question.
strange word.
That's a good rabbit to go
Yeah.
It's a
chase.
strange word.
Mhm.
But
I
that was
can't
the
imagine him
first
saying
time
that.
that he was separated from his father in that,
In that
one
split.
moment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that must have,
They've never been separated ever.
Because
Yeah.
why
In
would he
eternity.
even say, if he knew, because he knew what had happened,
Right.
why would he even ask,
I know.
where are you?
Yeah.
Does that not show his flesh?
He knew
Does that
that's
not
going
show
to
his
come, but it
humanity?
was so terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he also
That-
know that God's word, the Old Testament was
Yes.
preached, and there was nobody that
Yeah.
was worthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody. Nobody but him.
Do we
Yes.
have to go down this road?
Right.
Yes.
And what did he pray in the garden, right?
If
If it's your, take this cup from me, but
give it to somebody else or just
Yeah.
fix it.
If it's
Yeah.
possible.
He
Yeah.
was man. He was
first
fully man.
was fully man
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
fully God. And
Yes.
that agony of the cross, he felt every single bit of it.
Yes.
That answered my question.
I trod down the peoples in my anger, and I made them drunk in my wrath, and I poured out their lifeblood on the earth. Okay? What kind of references do you have in Revelation for that?
Up to the horse's bridle.
Yes. So we're back to Revelation 14 again, aren't we? When he treads down the winepress. Okay. Interesting, the wrath of God the Almighty. I never kind of saw that was repeated, but
It is.
that's
Comes up.
repeated. So I was like, that's interesting that he calls himself by that name twice. God the Almighty. Okay? So 1420, we know the location. Okay, we figured that out lessons ago, that it was outside the city of Jerusalem. Okay? So if we know that the battle starts where? Basra, Edom, right. And it's going to end where?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. So somehow we got to connect the dots from there to there. Because we know that's where it's
200
going to end. 200 miles, right?
It's so amazing.
Okay. Well, in Armageddon,
Yeah,
outside.
Valley.
Yes. Yeah. So Daniel 11:41. That's where we get where they're protected. That's where they run to get protected. From Edom, Moab, and Ammon will be rescued from his hand, which could be where the woman flees. If you don't have that next to your Revelation 12:17, when she flees from the beast, I would definitely put that reference there.
rescued from his hand.
Yes.
Payment from his hand. His hand, maybe where?
Because that is what Daniel 11:41 says.
Maybe where the woman, please. Maybe where the woman. Please from the beast. 12:17. Thank you.
Good.
Okay. All right, Habakkuk. That was also in your homework, page 117. I did not bring, so you've got your Bible open. Yes, Habakkuk 3. Read verse 3. 3:3. Yeah, Bible drill. Come.
Yeah, really.
Habakkuk 3:3.
3:3, yes.
God came from
From,
Teman,
good. God came
and the
from
Holy
Teman.
One from Mount Paran.
Okay. God came from there, the Holy One from, there's another, he's coming from Edom. Okay? Another backup. So, how could you put a cross reference there from something you've already seen that he's coming from Edom? Who is this holy? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is Isaiah.
63.
Right. So,
One.
put that reference there, back it up. This is where he's coming from. And we know where he's headed to. Okay? 3:5. Read that one for me.
3:5. Before him went pestilence, burning coals. Pestilence and burning coals were at his feet. So it's like after, I think, when he walks.
Okay? This, mine said
So
like
pestilence
before him and
before,
pestilence
Followed
followed
his
his
steps, that's
steps.
what mine
Yeah.
says.
What
Well, because,
plague?
when you walk it.
It follows you.
Yes.
Because if you brought a plague, pestilence
Right.
is following you.
Yeah.
The residue.
So, what kind of plagues do we know in Revelation that we've read about?
Rotting.
Right. Their flesh, their mouth, and their
Yeah.
eyes, right?
Sores.
And
Sores,
flesh.
malignant
Yeah.
sores. Oh, that's
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. What's a big one in the air? It's a woe.
The locust.
The locusts.
Yeah.
Okay. Plague before him, pestilence after. Because if you've got locusts, what are they doing?
They eat everything.
They're eating
Then
everything.
comes the
So what's coming?
famine.
Famine. Right. Okay. Read verse 8.
Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was he angry against the rivers? Was his wrath against the sea? That he rode upon the horses and his chariots of salvation? Is that what he was
Chariots?
mad at?
Chariots of salvation.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we read about chariots in Revelation?
No.
I can't remember
Horses,
any.
Not chariots.
But I sure read about horses.
Yeah, a lot
Okay.
of
A
them.
lot of horses.
Well, a lot of horses, and
Like
we're
200
riding,
million.
right? We're riding horses
Right.
in victory. And what color are they?
White.
White.
And we're clothed in
White.
right, and we're following
Jesus.
who's on the white horse and what's on his
Lord of Lords.
Lord, King of Kings, and Lord of Lords. Right, and he also has a name.
Which we don't know. Only he knows.
Yeah.
You know, if you go back and read those verses, it struck me this time because we've always pictured Jesus's garment as just having a little sprinkling
Oh,
of
yeah.
blood at the bottom, as opposed to, as I'm reading,
Drenched.
actually drenched
Yeah.
in blood.
Coming out
But
of
our
Bosworth,
description
yeah.
says clean.
And that's
Our
something.
robes are clean.
Right, because he's taken it.
He's taken it.
Yeah.
Oh, my
And now
goodness.
we think about the sword coming out of his mouth. Now we know what
What?
The word of
it's
song.
satiated with
Yeah.
blood
Yeah.
from heaven. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? It's just,
Wow.
Oh, boy.
boy, we get such a great picture, don't we?
I know.
Okay.
Gives you
Um,
goosebumps.
Yes.
I know.
He tramples the nations and goes forth. Why?
To deliver your people.
To deliver.
To save.
Because he's the only one
Who can?
who can. Okay? As we're making lists about Christ, about God. We know he's the only one worthy to open up the seal. He's also the only one that can do this. It's not God the Father and it's not the Holy Spirit. It's the Son.
Mhm.
He's kind of like earned it
Yeah.
because of what he suffered on the cross. All right?
Before
He
the Son
strikes the
comes.
head of the house of the evil and wicked, and he's going to lay them open from, okay, thigh to neck. Not
Which is the
neck to
opposite,
thigh, thigh to neck. But what's he got? What's he bringing? What's satiated?
The swords.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Joel. Again, we've been in Joel before, but now I'm like, okay,
Different purpose.
I'm
Oh
not
my
reading with that
goodness.
purpose, but now I get that.
These Old Testament prophets were not there to confuse me
Right?
what
Right?
they were before.
And I'm not
the
as
study of
confused as I
Revelation.
was.
Exactly.
Oh wow, yours. Let us up.
I have so many references for Revelation here. So let's just go little bit by little bit, okay? Joel 2:30. I will display wonders in the sky and on the earth. Now, Kay talked about blood, fire, smoke
Yeah.
last week, right? The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before,
The day.
Yeah.
the great and awesome
The
day of the
awesome-
Lord comes. So we decided, per scripture, right? It has to come after the what?
Sixth.
Sixth seal, right? We don't know when after, but it has to happen after that.
So Revelation 6.
Okay? Now, blood, fire, smoke, those are all mentioned in those. Every
Actually,
single one.
It has to come even later than that because we don't have smoke in the seals.
No smoke, but we do have blood.
We have blood. But
So
if we
again,
have all of
it's
it-
like, okay, there's the first mention of blood, so it's got to come after that. How far after that? I don't know, but we got to find fire and smoke further on down the line, right?
Right.
Because all those three things have to happen. And
When the smoke
sun has to be darkness,
Whole fire?
and the moon has to be in the blood. Okay? So what is we have the sixth seal, the first trumpet, third trumpet, fourth trumpet, and fifth trumpet.
Right.
All those happen.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
So we still know it's still got to have all those things in place before the day of the Lord comes.
Yep.
Now, who did Paul have to write to calm them down?
That's all I mean.
The Thessalonians, because they thought,
The day of the
Yeah.
Lord was already
and they
come.
miss it. They're here.
Yeah.
He's gone. We're dead. Right?
We lost the.
Bless their hearts. I don't blame them. They were brand new. Church era, brand new. We've never done it like this. We've always been synagogue, temple, Pharisees, priests, and now we got the church. And Paul was here, but now he's not here. And I don't remember. What did he say about that? I don't remember.
Well, they all
Totally get it.
didn't have Bibles so they could read.
They
like
didn't. They didn't. Okay? And this was called First Thessalonians, right? First letter, not second. All right? All of that. 2:32. And it will come about that whoever calls on the name of the Lord will be delivered. For on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there will be those who escape. As the Lord has said, even among the survivors whom the Lord calls. These are survivors from Jerusalem. What are they surviving from?
Tribulation.
Yes, the Great Tribulation and the beast that is raging after them because he couldn't catch the woman. So he's going after all those, but he can't get them either. Okay? 3:1-2.
Falling apart.
Behold, what's in those days and at that time of
The day of the Lord.
the day of the Lord. Okay, so we know
Yeah.
this has to happen before. Now, in that certain time, when big time phrase, I restore the fortunes of Judah and Jerusalem, so they get back what's been plundered from them. Okay, I will gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and then I will enter into judgment with them there. So who is he judging?
The nation.
The nations. Okay? When does that happen? On the day of the Lord. Right. Okay? 3:2, and it must take place then where?
The Valley of
The-
Jehoshaphat.
Right. Okay? Which we know is outside
Jerusalem.
the city.
Side of the city.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. This could be another cross-reference to Revelation 14 if you wanted to put it in there.
Revelation 16:16. I believe.
Well, the treading down the winepress, are we including that in
16,
judging the
14?
nations when he gathers the clusters? That's a question. I don't have that for me. I don't have a definitely. I don't know. Maybe by lesson 14 I will.
Yeah.
But right now I'm like,
Need more info.
I need info. Yep. I also have Revelation 19:15 there. On behalf of my people and my inheritance, Israel. Did you ever think about that? Wow.
You said Revelation 15?
19.
19. 15.
Did you say that there?
Just said it after.
There's what 19:15 says, okay? From his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that with it he may strike down the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron, and he treads the winepress of the fierce wrath of God the Almighty. What is that reference back to?
14,
14.
16.
Okay? So
14.
we're really connecting 14 and that. It's always strange to me that an angel tells Jesus, yeah, you can come.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
14, 16.
why does he have authority to tell him what to do? It doesn't say he has authority to do it.
Because he talk what God is telling.
Exactly.
That's a one big thing, because I've been thinking, how can an angel say? But like you have always
Right.
said that,
They're
you
just
know, they
speaking what
only
God
speak what
says.
God says. Yes.
Yes. And God, that's what the little quotation marks are. Very important.
And that's what
Okay.
we actually do when we are
We
telling
do.
people, we are
Yes.
talking what God tell
Right.
us. It's not.
It's not my word. It's
Yeah.
not my rule. You know, this is not what I decided. I'm just following
That's
what
exactly
God
what I
says.
thought of driving here today. Looking up at the heavens, just beautiful sky, and I saw in front of me a car that had all these identifying stickers on it. And that made me think, what are they advertising? And it made me think of your sticker, that is marriage is one man, one woman. And it made me think of, I'm not saying, it's not what I say, it's thus saith the Lord.
Right.
Yes.
So,
And the fear
Oh,
of God
yeah.
has just kind of gone out of society, hasn't it?
Yes.
Woo! I don't think there is any.
Tolerance.
Speaking of the fear of the Lord,
Yes.
this past weekend I went on a women's retreat at First Baptist Mount Dora, and our speaker said, she said, somebody came up to her and said, explain to me what the fear of the Lord is. And she said, he really means it. So that's why you should fear the Lord, because he really means it.
He's not fooling around what he says.
It's the truth.
It's
Yes.
it's not a scary fear, it's because he means it.
And it's like, it is real. In
It is
this
real,
world, there is, everybody has their own truth.
Right.
But it is the only God's.
It's only
Okay?
God's truth.
The
that
book
will-
of Judges opens up with, and in those days,
Yes.
every
Yes.
man did what was right in his own eyes.
Exactly what we're doing
It
now.
hasn't changed. It hasn't.
Very
It
true.
hasn't changed. Okay, again, this is giving such clarity to me of what happens when. Okay, and who does it? That's, for me, that's always critical. 3:13. I love that he uses the same word.
Yes.
I'm like, thank you, I really need that. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come tread, for the winepress is full. The vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. The vats are wicked?
No.
No.
The nations.
The nations. What he's reaping our people, their wickedness,
Therefore.
okay, is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Because what's about to happen?
The day of the Lord.
The day of the Lord. Because he's going to judge
Yeah.
the nations.
Yeah.
What
In
are they
the
there
valley.
for? To be judged. Okay. 15. Here we go with the sun and moon, right? Grow dark, the stars lose their brightness. That is trumpet 1, 3, 4, and 5, which is chapters 8 and 9 in Revelation. That's what, and we know that has to happen when?
When the two witnesses are
When, no, the sun and moon and stars have to grow dark
Well, before the day of the
before
Lord.
the day of the Lord, because it's still saying it's near,
near.
What
right?
did you say the trumpets were?
Let's see,
Second.
1, 3, 4, and 5, which is Revelation chapters 8 to 9. Interesting location. The Lord roars from Zion,
Zion. Yeah.
and he utters his voice
He's in
from
there.
Jerusalem. Okay? But the Lord is a refuge for his people and a stronghold to the sons of Israel. Then when?
Day of the Lord.
Yeah, the day of the Lord.
Right, the day of the Lord, when all these nations are gathered for judgment, then
You will know.
you will know
Mm-hmm.
that I am the Lord your God. Who's he
Oh,
speaking to?
Jew.
The Jew. Correct. Do you see how you can't take that out of context? Doesn't say all Israel will be saved. It says, when I gather them all for judgment, when the sun and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the day of the Lord is near, then you will know that I am the Lord. Because you're not knowing it now. Dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain, so Jerusalem will be holy and strangers will pass through it. There it is again. Pass through. He was pretty angry about that. No more. Okay? You didn't let my children Israel
Pass through.
pass through. And Jerusalem will be, is Jerusalem holy now? They think it is.
They think, but it's not.
They think it is, especially at the Wailing Wall. They think this is the most holy place on the planet, right
But
here.
it's held by so many different people.
Right, right. Let me go to verse 18. Okay, that's the trumpets. The heavens and the earth tremble. Oh, that's, why would they tremble?
Because the feet gonna
Yes,
start
exactly. And there's
to
an
the mountain,
earthquake.
yeah.
You know, we know what happens to Mount of Olives when he hits it. What his feet touch it, what happens to it?
Split.
Split.
Splits
north,
in two.
south,
Half
south.
north, half south. And where did the waters flow?
Blue Valley.
East,
East,
west.
west.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Okay. 16, 18, that's the seventh bowl. So we're at the end, right? All those bowls have come, we're at the end. That totally fits with the day of the Lord and where we have it on our chart. And what stops the day of the Lord?
The second coming.
The second coming. Jesus setting up rulership, right? Okay. So Jerusalem will be holy. Well, it's not now, but Revelation 21:3, it will be. I will avenge their blood. Okay? Verse 21. I will avenge their blood, which I have not avenged. For the Lord dwells in Zion. Because we've been in Revelation, we're going, that goes back to the souls under,
The altar.
and that's at the
Fifth seal.
fifth seal. And they keep wanting their, when is their blood avenged? The day of the Lord, because he comes to judge. What are the nations being judged for?
Going after his people and
Right.
his land.
Right, right. And not believing. Not believing truth. Okay? Because his garments are stained with what?
Blood.
Blood. Okay? His sword is satiated with it. which means it must be dripping. And he comes forth to judge in
Anger.
righteousness and anger and wrath. It's funny that you could put those three things together. But wasn't that a picture of when he walked into his father's temple and said, "You have made it a den of thieves"?
Yep.
And he was a little angry.
Yeah.
Overturning all this kind of stuff. That was righteous anger. Okay? That was nothing compared to what's going to happen here. Okay? Those are all the references for avenging blood. I may have left out the seal one. Isn't that before 16?
Which one?
I think I left that out.
Chapter 6.
Yeah, that goes way back.
Yeah.
I totally missed that one. Chapter 6, what?
Hang on.
So fifth
Fifth seal, so
seal.
Fifth seal is verse 9.
9. Thank you.
6:9.
Gotta go back to the very beginning of that. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, so you had to do the order of events. Was that hard? Did you just go, oh, no, I'll just wait for class?
Okay, let's see.
Now, reading through, okay? We know they have to gather at or shortly after the sixth bowl, because that's the day of the Lord. We don't have to
All right.
happen after the sixth bowl, because now we already have the blood, fire, the smoke, right?
Right.
We're okay with that. Jerusalem is captured by all, or maybe just part of the nations. Why? Why can I say that?
Because it tells us that he has to go in and cleanse it.
He has to go in and cleanse it, and half is ravished, awful things happen to him, but half remain. Why else would they need to be liberated, right, by Christ? Okay? The Lord descends to Basra because we know that's where it's got to start. Okay? To protect his remnant. He is keeping covenant. Now, what would be really cool is to put the Genesis 15, maybe, Abrahamic covenant, right next to that. That would be off because we're going to Genesis to Revelation now. That's cool. Okay? Just put it all together. So if he descends there, then what has he got to do according to Revelation 14?
Wine press.
The wine press, right?
Right.
He's got to tread them all down because he's coming to judge them. So he treads the wine press, but he's not in Jerusalem yet, right? So he's still got to be headed there because he's headed to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right? Which is outside the city. We know he's got to do the wine press outside the city. So he's not there yet. So the logical next place would be Jerusalem, right? And he stands on the Mount of Olives and it splits. What happens then? If he's here, then Judah and Jerusalem, right, are restored because what ends all this wrath and judgment?
10,000 years.
His coming. Okay? So on our timeline, his coming ends it, so he has to be here. Right? And his feet have to touch the Mount of Olives. Split in two. Half goes north, half goes south. Waters, east to west. Okay? Can you imagine the sight at this mountain you've seen and seen and seen and seen? And know, you know, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, what happened, Mount of Olives, and he goes, but this time, it's different. When his feet touch this time, by mountain. Do we not also read in Revelation that the mountains were removed from their place?
Islands, yeah.
Not this one. How weird is that going to look? All the mountains,
But
islands, But you got Mount of Olives because he's got to stand on it.
Because that was destined, Jesus put his feet.
Right?
So,
Even creation is ruled by God. Even each place has a very important assignment
Yes.
in history. And the Mount of Olives is huge.
Yes.
Absolutely huge. Do you
Yeah.
think, it's going to be destroyed?
Pivotal.
No, it's not going to be destroyed.
God created
It
animals.
will be there
and
for Jesus' toes to touch. It's not
He
going
created
anywhere.
animals and nature just like us.
He did.
So
He did. Just
he
without a
loves
soul.
them. Yeah.
And again, what's their job? Romans 1 tells us even creation
Praises him.
Yeah.
gives glory to him. And if we wouldn't praise him, rocks would cry out
Yeah.
because he must be praised. Does this help clarity of this? Okay? This should help you not be led astray by false doctrine. Because somebody could
yes,
say,
yes.
well, we're in the tribulation.
No,
Well, it sure
no,
feels like
sorry.
it.
Mm-mm.
Or
This
the
and this and this.
Right?
That's
And you
what
can say,
happened.
well, no, because this hasn't happened yet. Well, what about the rapture? Well, we learn that next week.
I know.
That's what we get to go
Oh, I
look
know.
at, you know. Do you understand why she kept referencing lesson 10 now, though? Because I've never read with the purpose of battles and bloodshed. I was looking for different something or other, but now when you read with a purpose, now things start popping out at
Yeah.
you because you're looking for that. Okay? All right, anybody want to add little aha moments?
Oh my
I
goodness.
see, lesson 10, she led us from the beginning of Revelation to there.
She did. She totally did. And I thought, I know in part 1, I thought, I'm just not sure I'm smart enough to teach this one, but I'm going to go with it because
A little at a time.
this is where you told me to go, and
He will provide.
He will provide. That's what I kept going. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to help me see it because you wrote it. So.
The reviews that she wrote at the
Wasn't
beginning.
that, we
of
read that
lesson
at the
10.
end of last week because
Oh,
I
wow.
thought this is brilliant.
It's like, whoa.
I
know
forgot
all
I knew
this.
all that. But
Yeah.
it literally put every single chapter into,
Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh that's right. Oh, okay, yes, that's right. I loved that review before we started the battles and the bloodshed.
Oh, love that first day.
Yes.
Yes.
I think the more I understand the
Sequence of
what
events?
sin does,
Oh yeah.
the more I recognize it. And I wrote down in this week's lesson, it's a seduction away from God.
Yes.
It's whatever it takes to pull you away from His, what you're thinking about Him or what you're praying to Him. Anything
Yeah.
to take you away from focusing on Him.
Yeah.
That's what sin is doing.
That is. And to recognize it is half the battle.
Yes, yes.
And to recognize spiritual warfare.
yes, yes. Boy, doesn't
Right.
that bring a lot more peace so you don't get so
Yes.
upset?
Because you know what's
Trying to
happening.
fix things.
Right? Right? I had lunch with my friend Alana who works at Z88, and I said, so how was this share-a-thon that was going on, you know, for fundraising, and when do all the computers and the internet,
Go
everything
down.
goes out? During then.
yes.
It's never gone out before, never. And she said, our general manager, Jim Ho, wasn't rattled at all. And I go, and he sets the tone for everything else, because he knows what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, but she said the response after it came up was greater than when it was before. And I'm like, of course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was. But that nobody got,
Yeah.
because that was his desired response, and he didn't get that. Can you imagine how angry that made him? So, that's, I hope that we are always taken away as we study, that little things that they just don't,
Doesn't matter.
that it just does not matter. So
Just
that's what I was
recognize
going
who
to do
it
today,
is.
but I guess I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that today. So it'll be there tomorrow. Or it won't be there at all because I really didn't need to do it at all. Ever. You know? But when those little things, then that just filters down and that, oh, Yeah, those have rippling effects, don't they?
Yeah.
But so does studying Scripture.
Yes.
So does the peace and the, again, revelation of revelation come. And to know that John got it as a revelation. He didn't discover it. This was not a discovery. Okay? And the things that you don't understand in Revelation, what are you supposed to do with that?
Just leave it on the table
Leave
until
it
he
there.
reveals it.
Leave it there. Because remember the little book he ate? That really tasted sweet. And, what was on that? I don't know. He wasn't allowed to write that.
Yeah.
Daniel. Leave it alone. You'll live to a ripe old age. Write it down.
You must not be
It's
happy
not
about
for
that.
your time. Right? Whew. Amazing. And yeah, a big relief. I think
Yeah.
that would have been a big relief.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
You know, John, he didn't tell him that. He's still on the Isle of Patmos. He's still digging a rock. But he's got a revelation he's got to write down. Don't you think he was thinking, is this why I'm on this island? I'm the last disciple here? Did he know he was writing the end of the book of the Bible? He didn't know that. Didn't know that's where it was going to be. But he followed what God was telling him to do. And that, again, for me is a takeaway. I'm like, I just got to do what God gives me to do. And I got to do it as unto the Lord so that I do it correctly. What don't I understand? A lot.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that? Well, when God decides to reveal it to me, or if he never does, I got to be totally okay with that.
You'll know it all when you get to the
I
grave.
will, right? I don't think I'll have any questions whatsoever. I'll just be there and I'll go, oh, I get it.
Another exciting thing that I thought was pertinent was specific geological
Isn't that
locations
amazing?
where I can go and look it up on a map, and there it
And
is.
there it is.
And I actually see a picture, not just a map, but a photograph
Yes.
of what that space looks
Isn't
like
that cool, too?
right now. And so Larry and I were talking about, we haven't been to Israel yet, and we were thinking, do they even have a tour that takes you where these places are in Revelation? In
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
in Zechariah, in, the end times?
Yes.
Because to me, after studying this, I'm more excited about where the end time
Yes.
places are than the birth. I mean,
Kay does that, and I don't know of any other. I don't know of any other tour that does it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
she's the only one, but I've talked to other people that have gone, and they're not taken. And let me open scripture, and this is where it's going to be. Let me open. She'll talk about Petra. That was an excursion we
And the
didn't
Mount
go
of
to,
Olives, I think.
but that is Jordan. That is
Yeah.
where the people
Right.
will run to, and the 200 miles, of blood. This is the Valley of Jehoshaphat. This is the Armageddon. You're like,
I know.
that's what makes
I know.
Israel
You-
probably the most fabulous place in the world, because Jesus walked there,
Yes.
and this is where that is going to
I
happen.
know. I know.
Not if it's going to happen. Oh no, it's
No.
going to happen, and it's going to happen right there. And that Mount of Olives, that's where
Yep.
his feet are going to be. And this Garden of Gethsemane, that's where he was.
Yes.
This is where the disciples slept.
Yeah.
I did a
Your
little-
mouth is just open.
Yes. Yeah.
Looked up the Greek on Harmageddon. to
Yes. What'd you find
that-
out?
Well, Har simply means mountain.
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 And
Har.
what does Megiddo mean?
It's Megiddo.
Yes.
It's Megiddo. It's the mountain of Megiddo.
Which is where we went.
At Mount Carmel by the sea. And remembering that's where Josiah was killed.
Yes, by Pharaoh Necho.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. So really, and I'm reading all this and I'm thinking, okay, people read the Old Testament all the time, but would I have stopped and looked up Teman or Mount Paran
Right.
if Kay hadn't said something
Exactly.
to know exactly where they're?
Uh-huh. maybe not.
And what struck me, quite truthfully, is how incredibly stupid we are these days, or uneducated, maybe I should say, and that we know nothing about our world geography, and we're doing nothing about teaching it to our children. And if you don't have this basic knowledge, then it's really hard
It is.
to understand the importance of
I,
what you're
I
reading.
think that's why I'm an Old Testament junkie. I love the Old Testament because it makes me understand the New
Right.
so much better.
But
because I
reading-
look seeing Christ in it.
Reading
but
the Old
those
Testament, we have to
locations,
teach our children to read it with a map in their lap.
there you
Yeah.
go. Right. And again, why the International Inductive Study Bible has those maps on back. So that you can go.
Right.
And usually next to that passage there will be a map.
Well, it
so you
helps
can
to
see
solidify.
It does.
And when this was written, and we have a map that was, printed
Right.
4 years ago, and there
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
And there's
Just-
battles everywhere in the
Exactly,
Old
right.
Testament,
Yeah.
and then came from the. You're thinking, but where is that?
Yeah.
And usually the map is like right there. So you go, oh, they were there, and they went, wow, that's a short distance, or that's really far. Opens it up. Now you talk to the Jews, they would know where all that is.
Right.
You know, we Gentiles were like, I'm not familiar with that. You mean United States? You know, Florida to Maine to whatever. Yeah, I got that. That was just like that to them. Is just like that. Then Louise.
In Joel 3:4, it says, Tyre and Sidon and Philistia, they took God's silver and gold. And I'm thinking about the temple when it was robbed.
Yes.
That was
Right. Then the kings of Tyre. That is never good. Anytime you always read those,
Yeah.
bad,
Payback.
and even worse. And remember when they came in, they stole all that, and then they put them in their different temples. And remember the one put it in, and he got up the next morning, and his idol was on its face. It had fallen over. So they pushed him back up. This thing that they worship, they pushed back up. Like,
Yeah.
who does that? And the next day, it was down on its face again, and they knew that the Ark of the Covenant needed to get out of there, because obviously that was more important than and more powerful than their idol, who kept falling over.
Larry, with his history background, also said that they were notorious slave traders.
Yes.
So
Really?
trading people, Jews and whatever, happened a lot.
Wow.
So, when you
They
treat
sold
God's
and
people
sold
like
Like
that.
that.
Ooh.
They could
Plus, that
treat-
also
treat like that.
helped scatter them.
Yes.
That
Yes, that's
trading-
so true. The
Yes.
trading would just keep them going from different nation to nation to nation to nation. That's so true. All right, I give you like 5 minutes.
He also said Alexander
rapture's
did
next
the
week.
same thing to Tyre
Studying it anyway.
and gossip and trading.